your girl Nashama, and we are back with episode 2 of the Metaphysics of Torah. And today I have a really good episode for you guys. Today we'll be discussing Torah and the sacred arts, becoming a master of creation. Now, this topic is going to be very straight to the point, very applicable, because I think that it's important that we don't only just study, but we apply and we begin to see it transforming our lives, right? So let's hop right into it, you guys. Thank you. If you haven't watched the first episode, The Metaphysics of Prostration and the Spirituality and the Essence of Prostration, please go back and watch that episode. There was a lot of information. I want to know if you guys have been prostrating yourself. I want to know what you guys been experiencing, what you guys been feeling. In the comments below, you guys could comment and let me know what's going on. All right, so let's hop into it. So we know that Torah is not just religion, it is technology and creation working together, okay? There is a blueprint that is within Torah, but the sacred arts are the tools that allow us to build with that blueprint. What is art? Okay, so the definition of art, it comes from the Latin ars, meaning skill, method, discipline, creation, or mastery. The metaphysical insight of that is that art is the ability to arrange energy and matter intentionally. Examples of that: the art of healing, the art of war, the art of leadership, the art of prayer, the art of love, martial arts, sacred arts, science arts, language arts. The word art in itself requires you to participate in mastering yourself in that specific craft. The first sacred artist in Torah was Bezalel. Torah introduces this first master craftsman. If you go to Exodus 31:3, I filled him with the Spirit of God in wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. What does this mean? What does this mean? This means that Torah is one of those sciences that encompasses so many different areas of arts. It promotes sacred arts. It even holds geometry, the language of art, the art of war. But craftsmanship is the specific title that they give these artists. And craftsmanship shows you requiring a certain skill, you requiring a certain method, a certain knowledge in something that you're doing. And this is why it is craftsmanship. And there's 3 levels of creative intelligence if we look at it deeply, right? So we have chakma, wisdom, which is raw inspiration. Then we have binah, which is understanding, which is the structure of the idea. So you have wisdom, raw inspiration. Then you have understanding, the structure of that inspiration, of that idea. Then you have knowledge, the art, execution in reality. This is how you bring it to the forefront from the metaphysical into the physical. This is the creative formula of the universe. Again, wisdom, raw inspiration, binah, understanding, structure of that idea, da'at, knowledge, execution in reality. And you could see this throughout all of the universe, how once you know, wisdom is that knowing, then you're able to apply that. Once you know for certain that water is cold, then you're able to apply that. I could drink this cold water. But once you know that once I put fire to this water, it's going to become warm and hot, and I have to be mindful before I do drink that water. That is how creation works. The tabernacle is a sacred architecture. The tabernacle that was created was a sacred architecture, okay? The tabernacle was not just this random construction. It was a physical model of the universe. There was 3 zones: the outer court, which is the body; the holy place, which is the mind; the holy of holies, which is the spirit. The artisan were literally building a map of consciousness, and Torah teaches that spirituality must be built into form. I love this. I love this because it goes back to how we were speaking on anatomy and how we was speaking on the body in general is a reflection of Torah. There's so many aspects of Torah that you could see that anatomy is heightened and is highlighted. The tabernacle is a part of, not only is it a representation of heaven, of parts of heaven, but it is also a representation of our mind, our consciousness, and how our spirit works. It goes back to the aura field, and when we begin to talk about the toroidal field, it is expansive. You know, when you enter into the Holy of Holies and you align yourself with your spirits, that is an alignment that takes artistry and understanding and consistency and a method and a practice. So don't just look at some of these things in the Torah as just physical ideas. A lot of these things hold spiritual weight. A lot of these things come with more layers most of the time, majority of the time, if not all the time. There's layers within layers of understanding certain aspects within Torah, the tabernacle being one of those, okay? So the tabernacle is something that is a deep reverence. Even the Ark of the Covenant. The Ark of the Covenant is a deep reverence, a symbol, an object that represented heaven. It was almost this, it's almost like you grab something out of heaven and you bring it down. That was what the Ark of the Covenant represented. And bringing it into the temple, the tabernacle, these things were almost like things that we couldn't really understand in our mind at the time, which is why our people began to worship these things, because they looked at it as a physical God. They looked at it as this heavenly object, you know? And that's exactly what it was, because when you look at how things were built and when you look at the positioning of every little aspect, it really creates a image for you of how things are set up in the heavens. And I love to say that heaven and hell is right here. There is an aspect where heaven is in your mind. So entering into your holies of holies, entering into your sacred Mishkan, that is an artistry, that is a practice, becoming the practitioner of your life. So sacred arts in ancient wisdom, the ancients believed that everything had art. Healing arts, like I said, martial arts, agricultural arts, musical arts, architectural arts. All of these things represented art. Okay, art is the original. Let's talk about the art of language. So we know that creation begins with speech, and Bereshit, God shows exactly what it looks like. Let there be light. Words shape reality. An example of that is our prayers, blessings, prophecy, affirmations. These things is things that we practice all the time, and we see how they even affect our reality, and we see how some of these things with practice, they become second nature because they work so well for us to yield the results that we need. This is why language matters. Even the word spell, the word spell is a spell. When you're spelling, when you're writing, and I know we say this all the time, but honestly, people still don't really understand how deep that is. Even the word spell is an ancient word. It's either you're going to speak it into creation or into life, or you're going to speak it into death. There's power in the tongue. Abracadabra. And the creative word, abracadabra, I create as I speak. Okay, this comes from the Hebrew, avracadaver. Okay, it is I create as I speak. A lot of people think this is just a mystical word. This is an Aramaic word. This is part of our culture, our identity. Abracadabra, and the sages and the ancients, they understood this. The idea exists across traditions. Words equals vibrations, and vibrations equals manifestation. What you say really matters. This is why the Torah is constantly emphasizing speaking blessings, speaking truth, guarding your tongue, because speech is directly connected to reality. Speech is directly connected to reality. The knowledge of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. The tree of knowledge represents the human access to awareness and discernment. A lot of people don't realize that, but we still have access to this tree of life and this tree of evil. It is the moment humanity becomes capable of analysis, technology, creation, manipulation of nature. The challenge is not knowledge itself. The challenge is mastery of knowledge. Without discipline, knowledge becomes chaos. So the application of knowledge is what creates the art of knowledge, is what is the art behind it. Okay, we are all artists. By just knowing these pieces and being able to link them together, we will realize we are all master artists of our life. And that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Look at the words. Look at how the words play on artists, arrange, artificial intelligence, right? And artificial intelligence itself can be seen metaphysically as humanity building tools that imitate our own cognitive abilities. Humans learn to observe patterns, encode them into symbols, which is language, mathematics, shape, sound, build systems that process those symbols. So in a sense, human mind equals symbolic systems, which equal machines that process symbols. Some philosophers say that this is an extension of humanity's knowledge, creating impulses. And I always say that we are AI. We are AI. We are artificial intelligence from Ein Sof, the infinite God of the universe. We are created in their image and their likeness. How do we come back to that? How do we come back to that likeness? We are aspects of exactly where we came from. We have access to tap into that power, into that strength, into that ability to become so aware that it could be applied in this reality. We are the artificial intelligence. Because one would never have enough knowledge. One would never have as much knowledge as Ein Sof, the infinite. Even if it was on a level quadrillion, we're still not catching up to infinite knowledge. We are deeply connected to Source. We are co-creators in this universe and master artists in the making. Every single thing that you do in life is an application to your art of who you are. Everything you do in life is an application to the art of who you are. And that's very important that we take accountability for every single thought that comes into our mind so that we are able to create the shift that needs to happen so that it could impact our reality. That's when we begin to tap into our God-given creation abilities. Right there. The art of mastery. A master of any art moves through 3 stages. First, there's learning. You have to learn. You have to learn, and then you also have to be teachable. Anybody who is becoming a carpenter or learning any type of skills or trade, they go to trading school. They learn, they go study. You can't just expect people to watch YouTube only for one day and then know how to build a house. You have to learn. You have to understand the principles of what it is that you are learning, that you are getting into. The second part is the practice, applying the principles daily. So you never want to lose your gift or your talent, because you have to realize that when you have something, when you have a gift and you have a talent or you have a skill that you're trying to learn, you have to apply it. You have to exercise that. You have to apply it daily. Anybody who is working out to get abs, they are in the gym and they are watching what they eat and they are moving their body so that they can get the results that they need. Well, it's the same thing with the mind. If you're gonna meditate, if you're gonna pray, if you're looking to have mental fortitude, you have to practice meditation. You have to practice prayer. The mind is still a muscle. Number 3, so embodiment. The art becomes second nature. You don't have to think about certain things. You just know. People who are great at playing the piano, they just know. Some of us could play by ear and just play, and then the sound come out because you embody that. You become one. You become integrated with that aspect. This is the purpose of this episode. I'm trying to show you guys how to become artists of your life, how to integrate the craftsmanship and apply it into your reality. At this stage, you no longer try, you just simply flow. The greatest sacred art, the greatest art is self-mastery. Torah constantly returns to this idea. How you control your emotions, your desires, your thoughts, your speech, your actions. A disciplined soul becomes a living masterpiece. A disciplined soul becomes a living masterpiece. If you ever notice, Torah does this amazing thing, and it shows character development in an amazing way. You almost rarely hear really great, phenomenal stories of people who already had their shit together. You barely see that in Torah, because Torah is great at showing people's flaws. The broken man, the broken vessel, is great at showing the journey from 0 to 100. Is great at showing that spiritual cultivation that takes place when the awareness begins to expand, when the emotions begin to be regulated, when your desires begin to align with your thoughts and your speech and your actions. You see it throughout all of Torah. Every single character, every single person, every single depiction of people in the Torah went through a journey of self-mastery. Nobody just came in and just had it all together. Not even Christ in the New Testament. He still had to apply self-mastery. Self-mastery is the greatest form of art. It's the greatest form of art. Be a master of your reality. Become the artist, and your life will become the masterpiece. Okay, applying the sacred arts. How do we practice sacred arts today? So again, I spoke about prayer and meditation. We spoke about prostration last week. Herbal healing, writing and teaching. Okay, architecture and design. Raising children is an art. Building businesses is an art. All of these creative acts, they all shape the world around us. We are all individual artists. So if you look at the world as just one big puzzle, and then we all of our lives is just one piece of that puzzle. That piece of that puzzle better be good. You better chisel that thing, make sure that it could form and shape the rest of the pieces, make sure the color is exactly the way it needs to be, because you have to create that art. You have to bring that puzzle piece to life so that it could be a part of this whole entire world, this whole entire beauty. We are bits and pieces of the great grand image of the masterpiece that we're building, and we're building it together. So everybody has to apply their art. Everybody has to apply their science. Everybody. There's no sleeping. Because your life as artwork, this is the deepest Torah teaching. You are not just observing creation, you are participating in it. So your habits, your thoughts, your words, your actions, how disciplined you are is shaping this daily. It's shaping it daily. What is it that you need to master? What is the craft in your life? Some of you are called to be teachers and may have some type of hesitation and some reserve on public speaking, but you are called to be a teacher. This is what you need to do. Begin to go on YouTube, go on TikTok, read some books, go on ChatGPT and dissect how you could become a better speaker. Some of you are called to be teachers for the children. Begin to learn the children. Begin to understand what the children's needs are. Begin to even work on your inner child. Some of you are called to be leaders. You have to be able to lead yourself first before you lead a group of people. Begin to cultivate those traits. Some of you are called to be engineers and scientists and historians. You have to put yourself out there to begin to obtain the information, to begin to receive the information, dissect it, so that you can process it and put it out. Whatever it is, the calling on your life, you must remember that it's always going to take work. It's always going to take a level of application for you to become the best version of yourself. You know, and it's honestly a beautiful thing. I know it sounds intimidating because it's like, oh, we're thinking about artists, and we know artists to be just these amazing, talented, gifted individuals. But we never necessarily look at ourselves as artists. We are artists as well. We are constantly looking to master parts of our reality. Solomon was known as the master of the arts. He was known to be so knowledgeable. He had sacred sciences and sacred mysticism that people to this day try to study and have an understanding of, and he was a master of these things. He was a master of these things. The Psalms is not just there for pure entertainment and deep reflection. The Psalms is a master at creating reality. Do you know how many Psalms there are that help us to navigate our reality? There's certain Psalms that you will read to help you get out of tough situations. David understood that. And not only that, David was a master musician. He studied musical arts. And David was a master at war. He understood war. Every single example in Torah and Tanakh, you will see that people took on self-mastery as the only thing that mattered in life. It came with challenges, it came with burdens, it came with hardships, but people were mastering who they are. So, with that being said, I want you guys this week to look at your life from an artist's perspective. And look at what you can begin to master, begin to shape, to cultivate the reality that you want to cultivate. and begin to learn how to be a master of creation. Because believe it or not, the Most High wants us to be. He gave us the ability to be masters of our reality. I want you guys to comment below, a dialogue below. What are you mastering? What are you an artist of? What is your calling? And how have you applied different sciences, different modalities, even some of the things that I may have said today may have resonated with you as well. How are you applying these things to get to that masterpiece? I want to know. For me, I'm mastering wellness. I'm mastering health, the art of health. I'm also mastering motherhood. I'm also a musician as well, so I'm mastering art, and I'm mastering being a content creator by sharing my wisdom, my knowledge, and the things that gave me understanding. These are all things that we have to practice and that we have to apply. Okay? So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video and that you guys received a lot of takeaway. Again, comment, like, make sure that you guys are sharing this video. Let's dialogue. Let me know how this is going to affect you this week, and how last week's episode, prostration, has affected you as well, because I look forward to talking to you guys and dialoguing with you guys as well. So until next time, we will talk. Peace, y'all, and shalom.
That
Mind like
is
the
cinema.
arc is the Torah inside. Lost in my spirit, divine in my mind. Wings on my back, watch the goddess stick light. Wisdom like fire, I'm sparking the light. New moon rising, soul getting right. Cleansing my temple, renewing my sight. Torah the tech, I be shifting the field. Speak what you want and it's instantly real. Letters like code, I be tapping the source. Blueprint of heaven, I'm walking in force. Vessel